Turkey shares a border with Iran, so it's not far away, and I found that pretty inspiring. I was probably there for 3 weeks in Istanbul. It was an incredible environment, an incredible city to be in. I mean, where else can you look across the river and see Asia, see another continent?
We had an experience the other day where some of the house guests and some of the other people, we worked all day on Europe.
Got it.
Okay, thank you.
And to be able to sort of get on a boat and 5 minutes later having dinner in Asia, that was pretty cool.
Beautiful views of the bridges and the mosques.
Istanbul is not a city of tall glass buildings and all kinds of craziness. It was Constantinople. I mean, it's an old city, and it still feels old.
It's such a metropolitan city. It's on the water.
It's full of architecture and art and culture of all different kinds. I mean, it's literally the crossroads of Europe and Asia, so you get all these different influences.
I didn't know what to expect, honestly. So it's a kind of a magical and exotic place, and the people are extraordinary, and the food is fantastic, and really, what more do you need?
Istanbul's pretty convincing as Tehran. It's such a beautiful city when it plays itself, but it's also doing a great job as Tehran behind us.
And it was an Islamic country, so everyone had the feel of what that was like without a lot of the fear and antagonism that is present in other Islamic countries that we looked at shooting in.
There's a real sense of reality here, which goes along with how Ben wants to shoot the film in a sort of documentary style.
I think you get a really great look at sort of different thing when you work in a place. You kind of see stuff before dawn, or you get to go places that you don't normally get to go.
It really worked out well. They let us shoot in the bazaar there.
The moment in the movie when the house guests go to the Grand Bazaar in Tehran is sort of the moment when they have to go into the belly of the beast and be in the place where they least want to be.
Right this way, please.
The bazaar was very labyrinthine. You could easily get lost in there. It was completely turned around and confused. Nothing went sort of straight. It was all at odd angles and Byzantine.
We're essentially using pieces of 4 different areas in a bazaar that's just huge. I've gotten completely lost here. I now know how to get to our shooting areas, but nowhere else.
We were lucky that we got to shoot there because there were these big holidays, the sort of Turkish Christmas was happening around then, and so things were shut down. Otherwise, we never would have been able to buy out all the merchants and, stop the bazaar.
So many layers of color and products that haven't changed that we were really lucky. We really didn't have a lot of stores to completely redo.
We had sort of a full run of the place. We had a day where we had, 700, 800 extras. It's a beautiful shot, and it really looks authentic.
The background's been really incredible because they just are 100% concentrated and in the moment all the time.
Rolling. And action!
That sense of claustrophobia and that reality of being surrounded and chased through the streets by these people is pretty overwhelming.
It's truly scary. You don't have to do a whole lot of acting. You just kind of have to be there and be a little frightened.
I think you get a sense of the fear of the house guests where it could erupt any moment into a riot.
When you get the opportunity to shoot in locations that are the real thing, you get a real sense of the grit of the place.
You say, sorry, I don't have the 100 toman.
The Blue Mosque is one of the most important features of architecture in Istanbul and life in Istanbul.
We're shooting an exterior of the Blue Mosque, which is this beautiful mosque that you see behind us.
The interior of the Hagia Sophia, and it's a little bit of a cheat because it sort of suggests that they're both the same thing, but they're next to one another, so I figured I got away with it. Tony walks outside the Blue Mosque and then over to the Hagia Sophia.
We shot that at dawn, and God, it was beautiful. Everybody was snapping photos. It was a pretty magical time.
The Blue Mosque is spectacular and really moving in its beauty.
We are in the Blue Mosque right now, and women have to cover up their hair to come in. Everyone takes their shoes off, and over here in the front of these boards is where the religious people and the men only are able to come in and pray. This section is for visitors or tourists like us.
I've never been in a place where my gender determines so much of my experience, so it's been a learning experience for me.
I
think entering the Hagia Sophia is one of the most profound places I've ever been in my life.
It was a church. It was the Vatican of the Holy Roman Empire in the East. And then, ultimately it was turned into a mosque, and now it's a historical site.
It's the 6th century, and you walk in there and you can feel it and all the different influences throughout time. It's fascinating.
The circle in the bottom that's meant to suggest that it's the center of the world that was built there, 1,000 years ago. And I really wanted to put that in the movie just for the fact that it was a place that represented Turkey where they were supposed to be, and also a place that represented this intersection of cultures and people and lives that's been going on for thousands of years, and thematically sort of butts up against what we were working with in our story.
And based on the time that when it was built, speechless is kind of the word I would like to use. I can't believe that someone built that in the time that they built it. It's just mind-blowing.
The call to prayer that you hear in Turkey, it's an unquestionably beautiful, gorgeous sound.
It just transports you immediately to the Middle East and living in a Muslim country, and it's extraordinary.
You're in a modern city and you're going about your day, and suddenly you hear this sort of ancient sound echoing in the streets.
The city just stops and the sound reverberates through the streets, and it's so haunting to see the cross section of society all stop to pray.
It seems like while we're shooting, it happens in these very special, weird moments where, like the scene yesterday, we were shooting, like storming the embassy, and all of a sudden the call to prayer started and all the people are rushing the gates.
In terms of what I'll take away from shooting in Istanbul, I have to say that I take away a sense of the friendliness, the camaraderie, the cooperation that we had and that other Western people had and Christian people had with people in Turkey who are Muslim and who were of other religions. This idea that this kind of cooperation is possible and watching their country function was really inspiring.
What I took away from Turkey was what an amazing city that is. The history of that city is pretty profound.
The texture and the sounds of the city are something that's been a surprise. And
there's so many surreal moments. The demonstration that we drove through,
I'm just sort of taken with the people and the kind of the warmth and the hospitality and the welcoming feeling that I've had since I've been here.
I mean, not everybody gets to have experiences like this or do what they love, and pretty lucky.
It's a magnificent place.